Migration has been a relevant and contemporary issue since 1517, in which Evil May Day saw riots in London as a protest against migrants. In 2015, 498 years later, the biggest refugee crisis since World War II began. Countries torn apart by war, dictatorial oppression and religious extremism has made it too dangerous to consider home and has forced millions to find solace elsewhere. Our newspapers have had a great part in informing us of the event, but do they have the ability of shaping our views on the matter? Newspapers and their content is guided by party politics, so the way topics are reported on varies between companies. Is this variety of opinion a good thing, or does opinion get in the way of the facts? Do you think that the source of your information forms your opinion of the subject?
When I read things like Katie Hopkins, her opinion, I quite strongly disagree with it. I think she's racist and unfair, but I think that's my personal morals. I'd probably have been taught that, but I think that's what I would think anyway, without reading her article.
How do you think the media and newspapers in general portray migration in the UK?
Oh, I think in general they portray it negatively. I feel like a lot of people see these headlines about migrants coming over and they think, oh my god, there's so many coming over, we can't control it, blah blah blah, but you never get to see how little we take in compared to other countries, and it's actually quite like a lot less, so we're actually, in a way you could phrase it as not helping as much as other countries are. I think media don't portray that. They just say, oh my god, we're taking in so many, it's a bad issue, but I disagree with them.
So what do you know about migration in general at the moment?
I think not necessarily me, but I think for like say most of the population who maybe just see whatever's coming like on the news, obviously if that's right wing, that's the only opinion they're going to get, so for them that's what they're going to think, whereas I think because I'm more like Labour, I can kind of understand that side as well.
Do you feel that the newspapers, when they're talking about things like migration, because it is quite a sensitive subject, do you feel it's based more on fact or opinion?
Opinion. Yeah. I think that's the whole political argument as well.
There might be some sort of fact, like obviously there is like the problem with housing and things like that, but I feel like that problem is a lot less significant than what people are saying, because their opinions are so against these people. They don't want to give them our resource, they want to give it to ourselves, and I think that sort of fact has been manipulated by people's opinions.
Do you feel directly influenced and affected by migration?
Not at all.
No, I think it's sort of like we see it on the news and you know it's happening, but because it's not like you see the people that walk around, don't you? You can see that if they're homeless, you can kind of tell sometimes if they're like from around the country, but I think because it's not really affecting me,
It's not
it doesn't really. It's not really
Katie Hopkins is at the forefront of the far right and has a weekly column in the Daily Mail. She makes a living out of controversy and is not without her supporters. Katie Hopkins wrote in The Sun, "Rescue boats, I'd use gunships to stop migrants." Continuing, "I don't care. Show me bodies floating in water." More than 3,770 migrants were reported to have died trying to cross the Mediterranean in 2015, with April seeing a boat capsize carrying 800 people. These figures did not appear in her column, and her supporters did not seem to notice. In the comments online, there is no talk of facts given, only opinions. Is this damaging as it blurs the line between fact and opinion? Or do we choose what we read to reinforce what we already thought of the subject, regardless of the facts? Germany received more than 476,000 new asylum applications, the highest in 2015. 25,870 people sought asylum in the UK, and only 10,050 were accepted. The EU have implemented a quota to ensure even resettlement of refugees into Europe. The UK has opted out of any plans for a quota system. It has been suggested that the EU is not yet in crisis. Lebanon, a country over 100 times smaller than the EU, has already accepted over 50 times as many refugees than the EU has planned to. The number of migrants to have arrived so far this year is so minuscule that it constitutes just 0.027% of Europe's total population of 740 million.
I just don't really see the point of abusing people for being migrants.